Morning, folks. What is going on? We're going to do some artwork today, but I do need to update my social media posts and stuff like that. We don't get the link until we actually go live. So, yeah, sound volume sounds pretty good today. We're going to drop that down to keep it out of the way. I'm going to grab the link here so that we can do the social media posts. If you're catching us in the future, you can skip ahead less than a minute. I'll probably be done. But to entertain you while I press a few buttons, my name is Phil Kearney. What is going on? I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and I publish them online. And we're creating an adventure for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition in the Eberron campaign setting called Crystals of Mabar. You can see the book cover here. We're 7th, 8th level characters fighting devils, demons, and necromancers in the Carnwood and the nation of Karnath on the continent of Corvair. Let's see. Check. That's all good. And here we fixed our windows so we can see our screen. If you think this stuff is cool, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. We have new subscribers. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate people that have been checking this stuff out. Here's a bunch of books we've already created on the DMsGuild. They all have free previews. Be welcome to check them out. The artwork and my ideas are out there for you to enjoy. I'm going to drop this screen down here and peel this open. This is the book cover we created around episode 40 some odd, and we're at episode 610 right now. But we're really getting close to done. So right now we're doing some monster tokens. For those that aren't familiar with the format, we're using the 16 by 9 format for a PDF document, 16 by 9 inches. And let's go ahead and zoom in here so it fills the screen, and there you go. These are entries from the monster manual. And we have a roper to do after we finish doing the Shadow Mastiff. So let's dive in here. Okay, so I made, I became aware that Mastiffs aren't wolf-like. So let's go take a look at what a Mastiff looks like. Fine. Let's copy image. And make this a reference folder, REF. Ungroup. Zoom out. Scooch this one over. All right, so we need to update that face. No top pointy ears. Blunt face. This might actually work out. Okay, let's see. I'm going to duplicate this layer and conceal it here in case everything goes sideways on me. I'm going to need to thicken the belly here because it has a thicker belly here. Just keep that clean. All right, now we have to work on this head. Let's just chop this one off. See you, Seymour. Duplicate this layer. All right, how are we gonna make this guy work? Generally, I like creatures, characters, etc. facing towards the center of the page. It tends to make for better design. This guy is not, but his head is angled towards looking at you. So, like, if he was looking off to the left, that would feel a little off because of the way that the page is built. You always want to drive the eye towards, for composition, you always want to drive the eye towards the middle of the piece, or to create a circular effect so that it'll move itself around the page. You want to lead the eye with gestures and glances of the characters and subjects that are in your illustrations on your page. So, and if you're in the middle of the page, generally you're going to want to look to the right to be able to push forward in the page. But anything that's on the far right of the page generally is going to look leftward to push you back into the content. Let's see. Here's an interesting idea. What if I were to trim this down? And where's my tools? Hold on. What if we actually practice what I preach and angle the head so it's inward here. I'm going to take this reference image, I'm going to flip it. There we go. That way I can keep that mug on screen. We'll do that. This is going to work out. Oops. Let's put this on the correct layer. There, merge that down. Good morning, folks. It's probably about the right sized head, but I want to shrink it down a little bit. See if we can pull this off. Yeah, I'm just going to block this space in just to get the silhouette built properly, and then we'll decipher how this hound's head should actually, like, how his expression should be. That's the word I'm looking for, expression. Oh, we're finding it here. You see that shape? I can probably afford to merge these things together at this point, but I'm going to leave them separated for a little bit longer. No, I'm going to merge them down. That seems like the right thing to do. Merge down. There we go. And I need to change the pose on that leg to bring it forward some. Like here, like that. Let's bring that up. Yeah, that's not looking bad. It's actually looking pretty good. Good job, Kearney. So bring that out. So one of the villains of the team ends up fighting the members of the Emerald Claw. It's a necromancer cult, basically. That follow the Blood of Vol religion, which is basically a sort of human supremacy organization in Karnath. They are necromancers, so during the last war, they were very useful in being... Hold on, I want to go back here. I don't like what's happening. That's good. The stance is a little wide, so I'm trying to pull this together. Let's see. I'm going to erase that out. And this leg here is crooked, more proper for... Let's get rid of that. And we'll take this, and then we'll bring it in. More like that is where it should actually be. Yeah. And then this leg here we can see. That's prop, that haunch is correct, but we need to bring this down. Here, a little bit more like this. Something along the lines like that. It needs to bend out a little bit more. Musculature. Free transform. Give that a curve. Like that. We'll probably have this guy finished today. And then we'll start, well, I think we'll move on to the roper next. It's on the same page. Why not just sweep it out, right? Yeah, if we bring in this haunch a little bit here, that'll even out his back a little. I've grabbed this photo here as a reference because I can literally just mirror it. So I can get the posture and stuff correct. There's no shame in grabbing references, like especially from photos that are accurate. In fact, that's how you get better. That was a mistake. Let's go back, add that back in. There we go. So if you're a newer artist and you're concerned that you have to use images as references, don't. I mean, the only way, if here's a secret that you might not know. If you don't have, they call it a visual library, where you have like these images that are in reference in your mind. If you don't have a strong internal image reference library yet, you need to develop one. And the only way you can do that is by looking at other pictures. So this line here should curve like this across the body, but I don't want to ruin this thigh, so I'm going to fill it in like that. That's a little low. So let's push that up just a smidge. That'll work. Fill that in, straighten that out. We're just working on the silhouette right now to build out the anatomy to get the form correct, and then we might put like some shadowy stuff in like in the environment, not to just have it sit here flat and plain. There, like that. Let's cut and curve that just a bit more and push it up into its body. There we go. That feels pretty natural for how the tail would be. And that haunch is looking pretty good. That'll help define that space a little bit better there by adding in that little wisp. Nope, wrong color. Let's grab that. And now we need to adjust for this leg here. I'm just going to be bold and just grab the whole thing. And bring it forward a smidge like that. No, let's take that back. We're figuring things out here. I like this back leg where it's at, so I don't want to mess with that. I do want to bring this forward just a smidge. That feels a little bit better. Let's angle that. There we go. That's creating a more stable base. And here. That feels better. Let's merge that down. And merge that down. I'll leave that leg free floating for now. Just kick that back a little bit. No, it's too sharp of an angle. Hold on, I gotta fix. Let's the height is right. Angle is good. There we go. That's good. And now we can bring this up a little bit. Help square out that rib cage. Thicken this leg up a little bit more. There we go. That's pretty straight up. No complaint. Bring that leg in a little bit here. That feels pretty good. That angle is good there. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. So let's now focus in on his face. No, that's too far in. We want to be about here. Can we pull this off like that? That is my timely timer to help make sure that I'm staying on time. I got to do my day job in about an hour, so I've got 60 minutes left on the block this morning. That should be plenty of time. this in here. Blend to win. I have that here. This needs to drop down a little bit more. I like these. I like this this jowl and lips. I think that's sitting pretty nicely. I just need to fold it into the head properly. This will end up working out. Yeah. I don't want to put too much detail into the face because it's not really important, but I can't ignore it either. So I'm trying to find a compromising balance here in the composition. So I think we'll be able to find it. Just gotta futz around with his face a little bit more. So let's fill that in a little bit more here. I think that sits pretty well. So far, so good, you know? Lock that in. So we do artwork like this Monday through Fridays in the morning. We do game design on Mondays and Thursday nights, as well as Saturday mornings. Yesterday, we got the new Artificer book, Forge of the Artificer. And at lunchtime yesterday, we went over the features, the revised features for the base class. And so Saturday morning is when we work on character design and the color mana spell point system. And so we were able to go through and resolve the scaffolding for the Artificer, and then on Saturday we'll work on the subclasses. There's 5 subclasses for the Artificer, and we'll translate those into mana mechanics. That's pretty good. There. And let's go here and add some more light into this angle here. Nice. That actually feels pretty good. Let's blend that up into here. Those jowls are looking pretty good. Head is here. Thinking about just leaving it at this level of shadow like this, just the hint of a face. It kind of has a Ghibli look to it though, like Studio Ghibli. I don't necessarily know if that's what I want to end it with. So let's bring that in a little bit to help start building out its muzzle a little bit better. Let's grab this color here, drop that in. See how this works out. We're just experimenting here, so I'm not really sure how this is all going to turn out. I just suspect it's going to be okay. That bulk is starting to fit together now. The bulk of the body is starting to align with the... Not quite happy with that. That feels better. Let's bring that in a bit there. Let's smudge all that out there. Needs to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, I think that sits nicely. Let's merge that down. I like the legs in the background, so we can merge that down. Let's bring that in. Can we make that work? Angry puppy. Just push that back a little bit here. Spread this out. There we go. Bring that around here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I need to drop that ear a little bit more. Into there. A little blocky, but that's kind of how the Mastiff is, isn't it? It's a little blocky. So let's build that out just a little bit more. Feels a little small. Let's grab this again and let's like that. There we go. Let's fill that in. Clean that off a little bit. Almost there. Stay on target. Good. There we go. That's starting to snap into focus now. Yeah, let's curve that around.
Hey, good morning. What's going on, Duff?
Yeah, right on, man. It's supposed to be a Mastiff, so let's make it a Mastiff, right? I was looking way too much like a wolf. I'm not necessarily a fan of the Mastiff, but I am a fan of accuracy, so here we are. I'm going to blend that in again here. We're slowly getting it. We futzed around with this face for a little bit, but we'll get it. I like the muzzle. I think that's turning out correct. Bring that in here like that. Hey, what's up?
And how often do you get to draw Mastiffs, though?
Yeah, right. Like, this is like the only time I've ever drawn a fucking Mastiff. Yeah, the reason I conceal my background in my video is because there's like hundreds of Mastiff pictures in the background. I just don't want to give it away. That place. And I like this wispiness that we have around it that feels shadowy. Oh yeah, that feels right. Cut in like that. That feels really, really good. There. I'm about to run out of excuses for continuing to work on this. I mean, like, it is super close. Just got to figure out these shoulders a little bit. Oh yeah, that bulk is looking good. Yeah, the Houndsman is one of the members of the Emerald Claw cult that is overseeing this operation. He's basically like an evil ranger, like a beastmaster. He has beast sense, so like he can see through the eyes and of any mastiff that's within a mile of him. So those operate kind of like a fine familiar, like being able to spy on things, and plus, the sense of smell and stuff like that. And, he can communicate with them, and they can communicate back, so he understands what they are, and they follow his commands, so they act on his initiative when he finishes his turn, just like a normal Beastmaster would, but he has a pack. He always has a pack of 4 of them running with him, so when you face off against, like, the quote-unquote boss fight of the adventure at the Nexus, the Houndsman's there with his pack of Shadow Mastiffs, as well as an Enchanter Necromancer, or an Enchanter Wizard that, will like hold person and suggestion and command and stuff like that. Generally, it will just make your day horrible. So between the two of them, it should be, oh yeah. I think between the, not bad. fix that up. We are like right there. We'll be merging the underpinning line sketch into this here in just a few moments. I mean, this is about where I need it to be. There, yes. On point. This is about where it's supposed to be at. So I am happy with how this muzzle is turning out. I don't think I actually need to do that much more detail. I think it's actually sitting pretty nicely. It's a pretty damn good muzzle. Let's merge these the line art into the color overpaint and get rid of some of these line artifacts. Just scratching this up just to get rid of the obvious sketch work. I like blending the sketch into the line art that we do, and then blending it together. I think it adds just a lot of chaos and texture into the general composition. I think it makes it look less calculated, a little bit more organic. Let's do like that. Bring that in. Moodoo. Yeah, it feels pretty good. Putting all that base in. Not bad. Not amazing, but not bad. Good and ill. This will probably qualify for the good enough award. Let's just, yeah, sculpt this leg in here a little bit to get it in point. There. And we'll be moving on to the roper here probably in a few minutes. I just want to make sure I get this texture blended in here good enough. How you doing today, Dev?
You gotta keep.
I don't want the internet to use my love of Mastiffs against me in some sort of horrible Mastiff blackmail ring. That would just be humiliating. Oh, look at that timely timer. What you got? 40 minutes left? Kick ass. I mean, yeah, this guy's looking pretty damn good, right? Let's put some shoulder up in here. And let's define that haunch a little bit better back here. That pec should be more like that, I think. That's how that leg should be back there. Speaking of private, figure out that groin. Okay, that looks pretty good. Yeah, we're looking good here, buddy. This is gonna be a piece where I just give up instead of perfecting. Like, for sure. I'm about ready to give up on right now. Hey, what's up?
I feel like I know it's
Well, yeah, no kidding, right? Like, I'm not going to make any progress on this. At some point, you have to recognize that your mincing of pixels isn't actually improving the composition at all. That you're just trying to convince yourself that it's done. You know, that's where I'm at right now. At what point can I actually give up on this piece and not be embarrassed by giving up? When can I say good enough and move along? It's close. It's really, really close. The eye felt a little, like the face felt a little underdeveloped compared to the rest of the body. So I wanted to spend another few moments on it here. But this isn't an abandonment issue. This is just, it's done. Almost there. Stay on target.
When we offer a tad bit of advice, the snout could afford to be a tad bit longer.
Downward. I mean, down like this? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, I'll take that. I think you're right. Wrong. Let's grab this.
It'll help the
Yeah. Now I done it. No. I want to mess around with this brow line here real quick. But you're right. That definitely helped. It added a little bit more volume. I don't need to ultra define its face or anything. But I do want to make sure. That I think I can be content with. And look, it occupies the space so much better now. This was fucking fantastic. Not bad. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. I think the head is probably about the right size. Let's check our reference again. Yeah, you're looking good there, buddy. Cool. Okay, we'll leave it like that. Do I want to splash in a little bit of? When it's not a full pose, I don't have to have an environmental piece so much. But like when you can see the full body of something, I feel it's appropriate to have an environment that it's that it's based in, you know? So I'm going to switch to our cloud brush real quick, up that up a little, and let's see if I can just make some interesting ground noise real quick here for the thing to anchor it to the page a little bit better. Keep that under control along that over here. But when we do the actual token, we'll be able to just have it like this. But sitting on the page as an illustration, I want it to have a little bit of environment into it, just to ground it. There, and that. Then we'll drop the size just a smidge. Drop the size again. Like that. And then we'll flatten it a little bit. Flatten it a little bit more. That's too flat. There. Trim away at this a little bit. I'm using like a 10% eraser, so it's very, very mild, so I can strip away at the obvious patterning of the texture to make it more like integrated grit. I gotta say, I love this texture brush. Oops, son of a bitch. Wrong layer, Kearney. Wrong again. There you go. There. There we go. Shadow Mastiff. Revenant. No, that's text. Revenant. It's good. Roper.
Victory! Kind of enjoying the ability to draw something in 1 minute and more.
Yeah, no kidding, right? Not having to spend days and days on a piece is pretty nice sometimes. I feel like his torso's too low. Like his rib cage is hanging down too low. That's the power of a second look. Fuck you over. Let's there. That is better. Okay, cool. Now I can probably walk away from it. I might come back and pick at it at some point, but I reserve that right for everything that I do. So far, that's pretty good. Okay, let's get into the Roper. So, I'm thinking things through. Let's switch back to our normal brush. All right, Roper.
I want to say those thoughts out loud. Kind of enjoying that.
I'm sorry. Was I mumbling something? Right now we're working on a Roper, and we have a really shitty Roper that we did before. I want to go to 100%. You were thinking quite. Sometimes I do that, don't I? Roper. So, Roper is like basically like a living stalactite with tentacles that grab you and reel you into its toothy maw. So we need to have. I'm gonna first work on the silhouette here. And then we'll work on the anatomy. So if I can get a good silhouette, we're generally going to be good. That's like 90% of character design is not 90%. I'd say 75% of character design is silhouette recognition, being able to tell at a glance what it is, and then you just fill in the details into that interior space. This is more than I need. Let's go to 100. There we go. I'm going to switch this brush back before I cause myself any trouble. Drop this in here. Fog it down. Ropers can move, but they can't move quickly, like 5 feet per round. Not a lot of speed. Let's bring this in here like that. I want to create build that out. So basically, a Roper is building like a stone outcropping and then giving it an anatomy. Is essentially what we're doing here. I have to be careful about my silhouettes because dicks and boobs are everywhere. They're constantly crawling around in the subconscious mind of everyone. So when you create something, you have to keep in mind, can this be misconstrued as a dick or a boob? If it can be, then you really want to be careful about if that's your final composition or not. Like, I'm specifically going to make an outcropping like this so it doesn't look like a dick.
He can't be hit well.
Ropers are cool, man. They're great monsters. Down. There we go. That's starting to feel really, really good. This, there's a real change in the tempo that I'm making these monster illustrations. I'm just noticing the shift here between the past couple of days here, and I'm wondering if this is part of whenever I work on a piece, I normally have some sort of style. Or process evolution that improves or expedites the process that I work on things, and I feel like with these monsters, I'm finding a style that allows me to not hyper focus on details. To like this in the Shadow Mastiff, they're shadows, sure, but they have a real good mood to them. And I'm hoping that this is a precursor to just further development of my style in general. Like I say, style is the coping mechanism that artists use to compensate for not being photorealistic in their work. So anytime you can't duplicate reality perfectly, you have to come up with some sort of visual language that gets across this is a hand, this is a face, blah. And if it's aesthetically pleasing, the audience accepts it. If it's not aesthetically pleasing, the audience rejects it and just starts questioning everything. So you don't have to have tense levels of details on anything as long as you're consistent in your production and it creates an aesthetically pleasing result. So I'm just about done with this interior here. So you can see the contours of the shape so we can build the monster into these contours.
Sure, your style is developed in your techniques. That's the thing about style. It constantly evolves no matter how old you are.
Yeah, because you're constantly like if you're like it's kind of like the it's like the Hammerrock scissors control paradigm, like in Magic the Gathering, like aggro monster decks will start overtaking things, so control decks gain in popularity to shut down your production of making monsters, which then spawns. There's what is the triangle? It's control, aggro, and tempo. And tempo is the other one. So then from there, you if control starts to overtake aggro, then you see the control of being able to flood the board with more things than what control can control, and so then tempo takes over, being able to produce large, big bane monsters that you can generate fast enough to not get overtaken by the swarm. Aggro monsters are defeated by control by preventing the aggro monsters from becoming present. Control gets defeated by tempo, which is being able to generate enough action economy, resources, and threats at the same time fast enough to overwhelm control. And then the solution to to tempo is aggro, which allows you to dump monsters onto the board fast enough to overcome the ramping that you need for your tempo. So that's like your like Magic the Gathering triad. So these things are constantly fighting each other and taking control. Similarly with art, as your style develops, like you'll get into like detail, getting really good detail and anatomic accuracy. And that depth of reality eventually gets replaced with I'm kind of making this shit up as I go along because my brain's just wheeling. But you have detail, and then detail gives way to expedience, to be able to quicken the process of producing. So once you get better at rendering something, you then work on speeding up how quickly you can render it. And once you are able to speed up your rendering, then you go back into composition for how does all the elements set up so that you can render them together. And then once you get a better composition, then you fall back into better detail of that composition. And then you go into speeding up that detail, and then you go back into composition. So those three things, detail, speed, and composition. Those are basically your three legs of design that your style is going to evolve through. Right now, I'm falling into a pitch of faster production, but that's going to spawn more contemplative design, more attention to the composition. Once I'm able to render quicker, I can afford to spend more time on the composition. And then once I start developing composition more, that's going to lead me into better detail of that composition, which will then lead me into quicker rendering of those details, which will have me then pay more attention to my composition. And as I tumble through this hammer rock scissoring of improving my style, the action, like the whole art that I produced, all of it just naturally just evolves along with it. So it just, at the end of it, any of those three pillars that you're able to improve your quality of, just elevates your level of good. Kind of ran out of steam there, guys. Sorry. I think I want to curve this in a little bit. These things are stalactites in nature, the roper. So if it starts to sprawl too much, I'm kind of losing the plot, you know? So I got to keep this thing tight. There we go. That's starting to feel pretty good. All right, so ropers have tentacles. I think they have. Want to see the original? Want to see my original roper? Because God, do I even have it? Here we go. There. This is what I originally came up with. I went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 6 tentacles. That is horrible. That is such a horrible piece. This is already a better piece. By God, that was awful. But 6 tentacles. That's what I needed. So let's go in here, and it doesn't have to have 6 tentacles, but it can. Reportedly, they have 6 tentacles. Let's put this in the background. Nah, I don't think I like that. I like that. Let's take this and pull this one. Nope. Pull this one forward a bit. There. I like that angling.
What's up?
Yeah, basically. Well, I don't want it reaching towards the camera. I want to angle this one like this way a little bit. But yeah, I think it's gonna be side like roughly like this direction. And I don't want this. I want this tentacle in the front. I want this tentacle in the front. I want these tentacles further back. And I was just gonna go with 6 for 4. You can cut off their tentacles and they'll grow back. So it doesn't necessarily need to have 6 tentacles off the touch. Let's bring that to here. And what happens if I tall this a smidge? Yeah, it looks better. There. All right, let's get back into this. There you go. I found another reason to do tentacles. I swear. There's like 4 things, something like 4 or 5 things in this adventure that has tentacles. Let's see if I can curve that out. What's up?
I'm at a loss to the term opposite of foreshortening.
I know, right? What's the opposite of foreshortening? What is the opposite of foreshortening? Broadening, elongation, extension, expansion, enlarging, increasing, lengthening. Broadening, elongating. I think broadening and elongating are probably the most accurate terms. Get that straight. I remember the first time, the first roper, I believe, was in Scourge of the Slave Lords, which was a Greyhawk adventure back in 1st edition. And it was scary as fuck. Like 6 first level character, like 1st edition characters with one, like 4th level. No, they're by that point I think you're 7th level characters when you ran across it. So like the fighter had like 2 attacks every, had 3 attacks every 2 rounds. 1st edition was kind of wonky like that. Like a fighter would have, if you were a specialist with a particular weapon. You would have at one point 3 attacks every 2 rounds. So 1 round you'd have 1 attack, and then the next round you'd have 2 attacks, and then the 3rd round you'd have 1 attack. It was not easy to police and maintain. Like if there was a lot going on, you had like 4 people at the table, and a couple of them were fighter or ranger types. Like keeping track of how many attacks you had this round was a pain in the ass. I'll definitely say 3E definitely improved that mechanic with marshals, because God, that sucked. But yeah, around this was ropers. I think came in the Scourge of the Slave Lord. I believe that was level 7 that you would run across them, and so it had 6 attacks. It would reel you in, and it would just chew on you. And and I think the tentacles were paralytic in 1st edition. So if they hit you, there was a chance that they would stun you, and you have like D4 rounds before you could recover, but it would only take one. It would take one round for the roper to hit you. Second round, it would reel you in 10 feet, so it could pull you in 10 feet per round towards its basically its trash compactor mouth. And you'd have, I think you had D4 rounds of paralyzation when it would hit you. So, and it had a 60-foot reach. So if you were 60 feet away and you got paralyzed, you're probably going to be okay, but it was going to drag you towards it, and it would make it easier for you to target you with more attacks. So you'd recover and you'd have to run away or be able to bash your way through it. And you could cut off the tentacles if you weren't paralyzed. But the wizard would absolutely just get its ass kicked by anything. Like wizards, if I recall correctly, first edition, paralyzation saving throws for a wizard were ass. It was I think the cleric and the fighter, I think, had strong paralysis saving throws. It's been a while since I've looked at first edition rules, so I could be off there. I'm just running off of what I remember. Yeah, Scourge of the Slave Lords. It was originally 4 separate modules, like little 32, 40-page adventures unto themselves. But then they all got, once the series got completed, it was grouped into one 100-page book. And I never completed it as a DM. I ran 2 of my friends through running a party of 6. They were each controlling 3 characters each. This was back in like 87 or 88. Way back. But man, Scourge of the Slave Lord, it had so many. That's a great campaign. Very much worth your time looking up if you're looking for old school game design stuff for D&D. That is Scourge of the Slave Lord. Highly recommend. It introduced Mongrel Men as well, and the Cloaker. The first time the Cloaker made an appearance in D&D was with Scourge of the Slave Lord. There's a lot of stuff. Yeah, that was a really iconic adventure. I can hear myself too much. Let me drop that down a little bit here to see if I can. I don't want to mute it, but I don't want it to be voluminous. There. That should probably be a little bit better. Nope, it's not. Whatever. Sometimes I don't mind hearing myself. Sometimes I really do. Yeah. So we went through and reviewed the Artificer, the new Artificer, and converted it into the color mana paradigm that we have for our Martial Powers color mana playtesting. And spoiler alert, I forgot to switch my screen, so I had my my intro illustration blocking the view of the page that I was working on. And there was like 8 people hanging out with me for over an hour while I did that, and none of them mentioned, hey, we can't see what you're doing. It's like, arg! It just pisses me off. It wasn't until I finished the stream and went back through that I was like, oh yeah, you can't see anything that I'm doing. So on Saturday when we work on the subclasses, I'll make sure that I don't block everyone's view of what I'm doing with an illustration. I like that. That feels pretty good. And I actually do want to have this here. Let's blend this in. 5 minutes left? How are we doing? Yeah, I've got 5 minutes left. So what we'll do is we'll come back and we'll finish this. Let's bring that up just a bit. There we go. I like that. I like this. This needs to be thicker here in the foreground. Perspective and all. So yeah, I do. For those that are checking out the channel for the first time, welcome to the mix. Really appreciate y'all being here. Really, really I do. We do artwork like this Monday through Friday in the mornings, and then we do game design and new, game design, new rules, mechanics, and stuff like that. We develop those on Mondays and Thursday nights as well as Saturday mornings. My Discord server is linked down below, as are a bunch of books that I've created. All my books have free previews, so you can thumb through them and look at the art and my ideas. I can tell it's almost 8 o'clock because I just got hungry as hell. Yeah, that's good for now. Let's buff this one up, and then we'll end up having like a maul like that. I'll have an eye here. Anyway, we'll figure it out. So we'll finish this one tomorrow for sure, and then we'll just move on to the next piece. We'll just keep knocking these things down. Curve in here like that. So I'm going to grab this one and big it. I'm going to big that a bit. Big. Bigification in process. Bien. Let's melt that into the mass. When that, we got about 2 minutes left for today. So I'm going to see if I can find a satisfaction with this particular tentacle. God, that original roper was so bad. That first sketch that we did, it was absolute shit. It's embarrassing to go back and look at really bad work and replace it. But I mean, it's embarrassing, but it's vindicating that I can go back and swap it out. I'm glad that I did tokens early on in this adventure, because I'm proving this is very satisfying to go back and update these things. It extends the overall duration of time that I spend on the project, but I think it's worth it. I'll always feel it's worth it. There, we sweep that in. Why do I have opacity going on here? Am I crazy? That's 100%, right? Hold on. Flow's 100%, opacity's 100%. These are all 100%. This is 100%. I don't know. It feels like... Nope, that's 100%. Okay. No hate, no harm.
Text, what's up? It's a measurement. See it as that. I'm at a host of term. I'm at a loss of the term. I see the tentacle doing that. It's a measurement.
All right, that's my timer telling me it's time to go.
All right, kill that.
Let's grab this and let's give it a tilt. All right, we're going to leave it at that. We're going to pick this up. We'll be back tomorrow morning to continue working on this. I'm really happy with the Shadow Mastiff. I'm still very happy with that. So that's good. Yeah, so far so good, so what, right guys? We're just going to keep working on this until it's done. Right on, Def. I really appreciate you hanging out with me, guy. Thank you. And everyone else that's been checking out the channel, thanks a lot for swinging through. Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. Here's a bunch of books that I've created. They're full of my art and ideas. They have free previews. Be welcome to check them out. Here's my Discord server. Discord server community right here. Be welcome to join. And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Laters.